Welcome to the Everceline podcast, the show that ignites your passion for leadership and empowers you to develop a culture of continuous improvement. I'm your host, Matt Sims, and in each episode, we bring you fascinating insights and invaluable tips from our incredible lineup of guests. What do they all have in common? They share an unwavering dedication to excellence and are the experts in driving engagement, improving metrics, and reducing costs.
The Everceline podcast with Matt Sims. You know it makes sense.
Welcome along to the Everceline podcast, where today we're going beyond the usual talk of waste elimination and tackling something far more overlooked, yet critical, the eighth waste, underutilised talent. Joining me from quite literally the other side of the world, Queensland, Australia, is the brilliant Adam Bean. If you've seen his content online, you'll know he's not afraid to challenge their conventional thinking. And when he's not making waves on social media, he's out on the construction site, transforming organisations with strategic disruption and world-class Kaizen cultures. So today we're going to be exploring, why do so many organisations fail to tap into their people's full potential? What leadership behaviours and structures are blocking creativity, innovation and performance? And how can leaders unlock talent and apply lean thinking to maximise the skills, knowledge and passion of their teams? So expect a bold, eye-opening conversation that will challenge how you see waste, not just on the shop floor, but in your people. This is one that you don't want to miss. Adam, welcome to the Everceline podcast.
Hi, Matt. Awesome to be here, mate. I've been looking forward to this ever since our chat last week, so looking forward to getting into this.
It's good of you to come on, mate, and it's good of you to get up so early in the morning on the weekend as well.
I'm construction worker, mate, and I've got a dog as well, so I'm up by 5 o'clock in the morning. It's in our DNA.
Oh, my goodness. I couldn't do that. Do you know, this week, I took the wrong tablet one night, and it kept me awake all night. And I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I started working. And I worked all day, and it was the best day I've ever had productivity-wise. By 7 o'clock, I'd smashed out so much. Yeah. And I actually said to my wife, I'm going to start getting up at 4 a.m. one day a week just to try and... I probably won't. But it seemed like a good idea at the time. It was brilliant. I did so much.
It is, mate. It's vitally important, actually, and it's a great point that you made just there. You do get so much done in that, or if you're that way inclined, you get so much done in that window. The distractions aren't around, particularly if you haven't already got on the computer, the emails aren't pinging, the phone's not ringing, all the rest of it. So yeah, it's my best time. If I'm at work from home, I get up and I just crack straight into it. I do 2 50-minute sessions straight in the morning. By 7 o'clock, I've done more in a day than most people are going to do all day.
That's amazing. I did think to myself, though, when you're younger, you get up early. Like when you're a child, you get up early, you're active, you want to do stuff. Then when you get into your teenage years, you don't want to get out of bed. You go through your 20s and 30s not wanting to get out of bed. And then suddenly I think when I've hit my 40s, I must be getting old, because now like all older people seem to get up early in the morning. And now I want to get up early again. You go full cycle, didn't you?
Yeah, it used to be that the old boys got up, went down to get the newspaper first thing in the morning, used to see them lined up outside the newsagents. We don't have newspapers anymore, but I think they're all up on their iPads these days.
They just go down there and stand outside the newsagents anyway.
Yeah, with their phone.
My granddad used to do that. So tell us a little bit about you. Obviously, you're from Australia, which is just amazing. I've never been. I've got lots of family that live there.
Yep.
Never ventured your way myself, but I'm definitely going to one day, because everything about it just appeals to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in an amazing part of the world, mate. I'm actually on a place called the Sunshine Coast, which is about an hour and a half north of Brisbane. So we've got some of the best beaches in the world. The weather's fantastic all year round, basically, we get a lot of rain in summer, but it's always warm, nice, the sun's out. And I'm very lucky like that to live in this part of the world, partly because I've done, for the majority of my construction career, I've flown in and out. So we go to a project, we'll fly out. There's a lot of remote areas in Australia, obviously. And mining in particular, when we're building mining sites there in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of nowhere. A couple of 2, 3, 4 hour flight from a central city to get to them. So I figured if we're going to live anywhere, might as well live on the Sunshine Coast. If I've got to fly to get to work, I might as well live in the best place where you want to live. So, yeah, very lucky in that way, mate.
What are they? Are they like little biplanes?
It depends on the size of the flight. So when we're on a big construction job, the last one I was on was during COVID, which was in a place called Goodadari, which is northwest WA. And they were, I don't know, 100-odd seater planes because you got thousands of people coming and going all the time. If you're on a little mine site, you might only be like a 20 or a 50-seater or something like that. But they're decent-sized planes, some of them.
Most people listening now are sitting there thinking, I don't like Adam. I can't stand him. I'm right off you straight away. You described how nice it is, how beautiful it is and all that. And then we're all sitting here in the rain. Unbelievable. Tell us a bit about your career then, because construction and lean is a really fascinating industry for lean.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about how you ended up in that and sort of what you do in that space.
Yeah, okay. So right from a little fellow, I always say I'm pretty good at construction because I've basically done it since I could walk. And my parents have actually got a photo. My dad built a couple of houses when we were kids. My dad was a tradesman. And there's a picture of me trailing off a concrete slab basically when I could walk. So I've done it from a little fellow. I learnt right the way through.
Amazing.
Like yourself, school didn't agree with me, right? They were glad to see the back end of me. I was glad to see the back end of them, sort of. So I left school when I was 15, went and did a trade, ended up being a boilermaker, which is metal fabrication. So I was pretty good at that. And then it come out of anyone that sort of shows tendencies towards leadership. In those days, I was struggling for tradesmen and people in those positions. So I went straight into running projects. By the time I was 19, 20, I was out running my own little jobs, smaller jobs. That progressed into bigger construction jobs. By the time I was 30, I was a superintendent, which was unheard of in those days.
Wow.
It just happened to be because, and this is a very important point for people that want to move up through the ranks, start doing the job above you before you get to that level. And that was what I was doing, and that's what happened on that project. All the supervisors were already coming to me, asking me questions. I didn't even know what a superintendent did. And they come down to me and said, you're the superintendent now. And I said, what am I supposed to do? And they just said, just keep doing what you're doing. What you're doing is perfect. Just keep doing more of that. So I sort of got stuck at that level. Well, not sort of, I did get stuck at that level. I had it in my mind that I'm a superintendent. I don't want to go above me. There was certain biases I had of the positions that were above that. But I've stepped up in the last couple of years where I've gone more into construction management and just finished a diploma in project management as well. So that's where I'm heading with it all, mate.
So you didn't get on with school, but you've gone back to school as an adult.
Yeah, it's quite funny actually. One of the best things my mum ever did for me, she taught me from a little fella. She read a lot to me, so I didn't pick books up during school. Hated them. Okay, so I used to read before I went to school. Went to school, which is a place where supposedly you get educated, and didn't read because it was forced on me. I didn't fit in there. Not that I didn't fit in with the kids. I didn't learn the way they wanted me to learn. I learned by doing things, obviously, because I'm a tradesman. So I learned with my hands by watching and seeing and then going and doing things, not sitting in a classroom, teacher at the chalk, at the board, showing my age now.
So it was same for me, don't worry.
Yeah, talking at you. So I would put books down for a long time, probably between the ages of 8 and 10 to right through to my early 20s. Never read a book. Now I read 2 a week. So, it's all when it's relevant to what you're doing and you have an interest in it and you have a passion for it, I suppose is the word, then you'll do it.
You're spot on. I never read a book until I started getting into continuous improvement, and I read Jeffrey Liker's The Toyota Way, the original one.
Yep.
And Jim Womack, he had a CD. I can't remember what it was. It was back in the days before we had proper computers, and you had do you remember the Encarta Cyclopedia? It was amazing on a disc, and I had this thing from Jim Womack which had loads of stuff about lean on it, and there was a book that went with it, I think, and they were the only books I ever read. And exactly what you just said, it was because I had a connection to the topic and I felt excited and inspired by it. At school, I didn't read anything.
No,
never.
No, I was the same. Actually, I'll tell the story. My own brother's 4 years younger than me, and this is how well school went for me. He went to the same high school I went to, so I'd been gone 2 years at this stage. So he's come into grade 8, and he's got unfortunately for him, he got the same English teacher that I had, right? So the first day she's picked the roll up and started calling names. That she's looked at the first name because, last name Bean, you're always at the top of the list, right? So she goes, Nathan Bean, and he goes, yeah. She said, is your brother Adam Bean? And he goes, yes. And she said, I hope you're nothing like him. He was a real troublemaker. So that was how he started high school.
Did he answer that question?
No. And as I say,
wow.
they were glad to see the back end of me, and I was glad to be gone. Yeah.
Yeah. But do you know what? I had this conversation with Paul Akers when he came on.
Yep.
And he was saying that he sees a pattern in so many people that excel in lean and continuous improvement. are people that struggled at school,
Mm-hmm.
that are learn by doers, learn with their hands and stuff.
Yeah.
A massive proportion, I don't think there's ever been a study because I couldn't find anything on it, but he thinks a massive proportion from what he's seen is that way inclined. And I think he's right.
Yeah, definitely, mate. A lot of the time when these kids are in, well, I call troublemakers, I call my supervisors troublemakers. I said, my best supervisors spent more time sitting at the headmaster's office than they did sitting in the classroom, right? Because they'll speak up, they'll challenge the status quo, they won't just do things for the sake of doing them, which ties back to your agile and your lean, is you're always looking for some better way to do it. They don't want that in school. They just want you to, this is the rules, this is an A, this is what an A looks like, this is what an E looks like. Don't try and reinvent the wheel, just fit between the two. I think that's where a lot of it comes into it, mate.
Oh, mate, I completely agree. Completely agree. It's you get me going. I go off on a tangent. It really annoys me. You think of how much has changed in the last 100 years,
Yep.
right? And then if you went to a school 100 years ago and you go in there now, obviously technology's changed, but it's the same principle of learn from a group of people learning from somebody in front and then do an exam on what you've just learned. It's exactly the same.
It's exactly what we're speaking to today with the 8 wastes, is wasting talent. That's what we're doing in the school system as well.
Yes.
We're wasting all this talent and all the other, we'll speak to this a bit further in depth in a minute, but to me, it all kicks off from the fact that we waste talent, and we waste talent right from when they're kids. If you look at kids, they're natural learners. They love it. They love experimenting. They love trying new things. They love doing things differently. And we squash that out of them. And a lot of that happens during the school process.
I like what you did there, by the way. That was a really good little segue.
Segue? You like that?
That was really good. That was really good. You're a pro. So the 8th waste then.
Yep.
When I first started learning about lean, it was always 7 wastes.
Yep.
Never heard this 8th waste mentioned. And then I'd probably been doing it for about 5 or 6 years. And somebody said to me, have you looked for the 8th waste? And they described it as something that it would normally sit with more senior leaders. And I was like, this is a bit interesting. Like, why have I not heard about it? And then I did. I researched, read a few books, and I would say, sometimes it annoys me that it's called the 8th waste, because I believe that it's actually the biggest waste. And I think it's the first waste that we should look for.
Yep.
What do you think?
100%, mate. That's all my content around this year is around that. And if you go back and listen to guys like Paul Akers, Ryan Tierney, and Paul will tell stories about going to Toyota and them speaking to the fact that growing people was what it was all about. It wasn't until the penny dropped with him that that's what they were actually doing. It wasn't about the process maps. It wasn't about the whiteboards on the walls. It wasn't about rules or exercises or anything else.
Yeah.
It was about getting the people engaged. So to me, all of the way starts when you get a person fronts up for work and they're disengaged. If they're disengaged, they start overproducing just because they've got to, which causes a transportation, and it goes on through the other 8 wastes. So I believe you're right. I think we're looking at the 8 wastes the wrong way around, and this speaks to a lean thing in continuous improvement. Are we looking at this the wrong way? Is there a better way to look at it? And if we fix the 8th waste, going back to the book, the one thing, which is what's the one thing, such by doing it, cause everything else to be easy or unnecessary. To me, that one thing is fix your people. Get your people engaged. Look at your 8 wastes, removing your 8 wastes, the rest of it will fall into line behind it. But that's not it comes back to marketing and advertising. It's easier to sell a whiteboard on the wall than it is to tell someone go and have a hard conversation with your people.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it was the 8th one because it was the most difficult one to tackle.
Yeah.
That's why it's been put there.
Yeah.
I do think that, and I think you've made a really good point, that what you're saying is that if you went after the 8th waste first, you might actually knock off many of the other 7 wastes by getting rid of the 8th waste. It is that domino effect, isn't it? It can lead to other stuff. Because I've been on both sides of the coin. I've worked in an operation where I've been a frontline employee. I've had my role to do, but I've felt so overlooked. There's no development in me. There's no interest in me. There's no getting me involved in solving problems. And I've just literally gone in, done the least amount that I had to do without being called out and get by, because I'm going to get paid the same amount anyway, whether I do a good job or do a bad job. But I've also been a leader where I've had a team of people, and I've been looking at it from a leadership perspective about developing people and identifying what their skills are and stuff like that.
100%, mate. Look, so much of our talent's wasted and we don't even see it. We don't even see or know what the eighth waste looks like. So I'm going to tell a quick story about when the penny dropped for me, okay? So I was on a project up in Gladstone. This is back in about 2010. I'd read the book Gun Ho by Ken Blanchard. Amazing book. This was when I first got into this, not first got into, but when this stuff really started to trigger off for me. And I was on site. I ended up running 3 crews, so I didn't have a lot of time with each crew. But I got to this one crew. I just met this guy, and I go, "Hey mate, what's happening here? What are you doing? What are these born? What's going on?" He was like the unofficial leader of this crew, and he looked at me. I won't swear on here, but he said,
You can go for it. Go on.
yeah, I'll never forget it. He's one of the best guys. He still works for me today. And he looked at me and said, "You fuck off back to the office and have a coffee." He said, "If I need you, I'll come and get you." So how many times does that conversation happen on a construction site and the supervisor's egos gets bruised and he goes, "You don't tell me what to do. I'm the supervisor. I'll tell you what to do," all the rest of it. So I flipped the script and looked at it and went, 2 things going to happen here. So this guy either knows what he's doing, so I'm going to give him a bit of rope and let him see how it goes, or he's going to make a complete mess of this. But either way, I'm going to know what I've got here, whether I could trust him or leave him to run. So I fed him a bit of rope, see how he went. And literally all I had to do was have a coffee. And if he needed something, he used to come see me. He was that way inclined, So many of these guys, that could be taken the wrong way. And he was branded. And that's why the troublemaker piece comes into that I speak to. He was branded a troublemaker on that side. I ended up with a couple of them on that site. One they were trying to sack. I watched him work for the first couple of days I was there. And they went, "We're getting rid of him." I said, "Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's coming with me." And that guy was asking for an opportunity to shine, to be able to show what he could actually do. Might have been put it across the best possible way, but that's what they're like. And so much of when we speak to the 8 wastes, and it's not just about not recognising the talent, how many people are actually inadvertently asking you for an opportunity and you're the constraint because you think, "I'm the leader, everything's got to come through me, I've got to have all the answers, I've got to be in charge here." And sometimes it comes out of a book, I can't remember what it's called, but it was about step up. So you step up to a certain level and there's set standards. Then you need to step back and give other people same opportunity to step up that you've just had.
I think sometimes people are just crying out for that opportunity, aren't they? Sort of subconsciously, they are desperate for a chance to shine.
Yep.
And 9 times out of 10, it's seen as they're underperforming, they're no good, and they're just cast aside, and their confidence must get knocked then, because mine would. If I was dismissed and moving from job to job. When I used to work in a warehouse, there was like multiple different roles, and then there was one role that they used to call the water spider.
Yep.
And the water spider was the person that used to pull the pallets around on a pump truck. I used to go into the site and I'd stand there and observe what was going on. And my remit for that evening was to improve the productivity. And I'd go, "Right, show me your resourcing plan." And they'd bring over, and they got all these names against all these roles. And I'll go, "Why is John on water spider? Why is that his job?" And they went, "Oh, well, we tried him on this and we tried him on that, and he was no good at any of them, so we've stuck him on water spider." And everyone saw the water spider as if you was on that, you weren't rated.
Yeah.
But what they were overlooking is that without the water spider, the whole thing fell apart.
Yep.
Because that individual was moving the work between the different workstations.
Mm-hmm.
And he was smashing it.
Yep.
They had the best night they'd ever had. John on water spider, he was on it. He was planning ahead. He had a system going where he was dropping empty pallets right next to the full ones. He was swapping them around. It was brilliant. He even had 2 pallet trucks. He had one ready loaded on the work to come in, and then he had one that he was taking the empty out with. So he didn't have to take the time to drop it and swap it. It was just bang, done. Amazing.
Yeah.
And he just needed the opportunity.
Yeah. Great that you recognise that, because that stuff gets overlooked so much, and it's so important for that flow, for the stuff to be moving. And to have someone like that in that position is invaluable. It's not so much about the greatest guys on the paddock are the ones when they go out there, everyone else is a better player when they're out there. And like, to me, everyone in that environment performed better because he was out there doing his part. They're the ones that are really valuable. There's 2 sides to this as well, but mate, like, you recognise that as a leader, but that guy also recognised the importance of what he was doing as well. So if you're in that position and you're given that lower position, do it better than anyone else can possibly do it. That's what happened to me when I was a supervisor, and I got stepped up to the superintendent position because I wasn't really operating at a supervisor level. I was operating at a superintendent level already, and they recognised that. So they said, "Well, you might as well do it because you're already doing it." So if you're the key water spotter and you want to get to a leadership or a supervisor or whatever it is, next level up position, Do that as best as you possibly can, because those same skills, those same habits of being organised and making sure everyone else has got their work in front of them are what's going to set you up for that next level. And it will get recognised. If you do it and you do it well, it'll get recognised.
I think sometimes as well, I mean, that guy, that John, he went on there and I think he just enjoyed the responsibility. He could see that what he was doing was the most important bit. And he had a bit of freedom. He could plan what he was going to do, where he was going to move it around. He was moving around all the time. So he wasn't just stood still and doing a mundane role.
Yep.
He was in control of what he was doing without intentionally giving it to him. He was then able to improve the way things were working, improve the processes and change things on the fly without having to ask anybody. He was just doing it.
Yeah.
And he just absolutely came alive off the back of it. Similar to what you described a minute ago, where they've been seen as a troublemaker or, they're not that great or be careful with this person. They come and work for me and I found they've been absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
The problem is we try and pigeonhole everybody in the same bracket, don't we?
We do.
How often does a leader look for someone's skills and use them to their most ability within that role?
Yeah, we miss that opportunity a lot. Being a team player is vitally important as well. There's very few, but there's always a certain element that aren't, that are just, we have a saying in construction in Australia, is the only way to treat a cancer is to get rid of it, is to remove it, okay? Yeah. And some people, unfortunately, are in that spot, whether it's just because of the environmental circumstances on that particular project, whatever it is. But they still need to be fit in with a team. At the end of the day, we're building teams here, is what we do, well, particularly in construction. So there is a certain element that you get, but I find it's a minute percent compared to what get branded as a troublemaker or too hard or hard work or high maintenance or whatever you want to call it, versus those that really are an actual problem. I'm not saying that there's never anyone that's not a problem. There is. There has been. I've had to deal with that. But the majority aren't. The majority are just good people, turn up, want to do their job, want to do it well, and just want an opportunity.
How does it work? Because I can imagine construction is, it's heavily reliant upon everyone pulling their weight. If there's somebody there that isn't, right, not because of their not being utilised, but they're just genuinely not pulling their weight, do they call them up on it, or what happens?
Not particularly, mate. We're not particularly good at that in the construction industry. I don't think in life we're particularly good at it as well. There's a lot of good work being done in that space, different education and book stuff around. There's a lady called Susan Scott, which is, I think her book's Fierce Conversations. There's another lady that used to be a Google Radical Candor, Kim Scott. So there's some awesome books that we need to start embracing in the construction industry and have more of those tougher conversations. So because a lot of that stuff can get turned around, like the guy that told me, you go and have your coffee and stay out of my way, I'll be fine. That was just because of the way they handled the conversation. That could have gone really south. If I'd have gone, no, you will report to me and you come down and let me know what you're doing. Yeah. If I tried to micromanage him, that would not have been a pretty situation. It would have gone south very quick. But there is always an element that aren't pulling their weight, which I think happens pretty much everywhere in life. But in general, no, we don't call it out. We don't do it well enough. And that's why we spoke to it earlier about the eighth waste being the toughest one and no one wants to deal with it. Is because we don't want to deal with those things. And the people that do deal with those things will move quicker. And the lean environments or agile or scrum, whatever you're doing, will build a lot quicker because people see that you're genuinely interested in them as a person and helping everyone improve. I'm the GM, I'm below them, and you blokes are below me. No, we shouldn't knock everything we do in school, okay? So there's upside to it as well.
He's gone. He's walked off.
So in answer to your question, that is, to me, is our biggest driver of the eighth waste is...
End of chat.
Good. Keep getting better at it.
I've got the ump now.
Org charts are a good place to start. I was always there on a Friday, mate. We don't practice the fundamentals anywhere near enough. He basically did lean.
They don't just park up in the car park, walk in, get changed and walk onto the pitch and crack on, do they?
Exactly.
They don't go and hang their coats up and then go out there and get on with it.
People love to whinge, so let them, get it out.
Adam cannot say yes or no when we talk about Australian stuff. Do kangaroos really box?
It's just ridiculous.
Want to take your leadership, team performance, and business transformation to the next level? Then it's time to think differently. At Ever So Lean, we do game-changing leadership development, high-performance coaching, and continuous improvement that delivers real impact. Trusted by businesses worldwide, endorsed by industry leaders, and recognized for excellence. We deliver industry-recognized programs, dynamic workshops, powerful keynote talks, and expert coaching to help businesses and individuals unlock their full potential. With lean thinking and a people-centric focus, we reshape the way people think, lead, and perform. Visit www.eversolean.com, because where people thrive, performance follows.
Are you ready to elevate your team's ways of working? Are you seeking fresh insights and growth opportunities? Our experts will assess your team's practices, providing valuable insights for improvement and celebration. Reward and recognise your team with this certification tailored specifically for creating an improvement culture. The BQF Academy accreditation acknowledges your journey, outstanding outcomes, and future plans. Whether you utilise Lean, Six Sigma, project management, or continuous improvement techniques, this certification celebrates your incredible work and positive impact. Propel your team's performance to new heights with the BQF Team Excellence Culture certification. Visit www.bqf.org.uk today and let's celebrate your success together.
13-time Shingo Prize winner Dr. Jeffrey Leiker and Toyota Kata author Mike Rother have created the Improvement Kata and Coaching Kata online course. This inexpensive, compact program is designed to transform your thinking and approach, making you a highly skilled learner and coach. Engage in deliberate practice to turbocharge your progress. You also get lifetime access to the materials, including all of the bonus interviews. Why pay up to 10 times the price elsewhere, listening to some consultant, when you can gain direct insights from the masters themselves? Skip the rest and go with the best. Join us today and embark on your journey to excellence. Just click on the link below to start your journey.
I'm wondering, I'm thinking out loud, right? It's painful, isn't it? It's Friday night, his brain's worn out. You can hear the cogs grinding. Do you think we don't invest enough in leadership and middle-level managers, junior managers? Do we not invest enough in them to help teach them to identify people's skill sets?
We want a tick and flick answer to everything, right? We've put you through a management course. Now you know about management, frontline management, they call it over here. We put you through a leadership course. You should be a leader now. We want a one-size-fits-all, tick and flick, put you through that. We've done that box. Now that's all good. Doesn't work that way. It's the same as continuous improvement. Leadership, management, whatever you want to call it, and I always split the two between. The way I think of leadership management is you lead people, you manage systems and processes. You try and manage people, it doesn't work. You need to either lead them or coach them.
Yeah.
Okay? So no, we don't invest enough up front in the training, and we definitely don't invest enough in their ongoing education. And we spoke to school before. School doesn't stop when you stop. I've learned way more since I got out, since I picked the tools up in the last 35, 6 years, whatever it is. I've learned way more than I ever did at school. And we see school as we go to university, we think that's the end of our education. It's not, it's just a start. And we've got to build that process in that these guys are learning every day. So to answer your question, no, we don't invest not just the money, we don't invest the time, which is the more important thing.
I was thinking about this. I've been writing Building the Bridge to Inspirational Leadership. And one of the chapters I was writing yesterday, I was talking about how when change occurs in the workplace, it tends to fall to the middle managers and the junior managers to deal with it. Like, this is the change, here's a brief, go and brief your people. This is the target, this is what you need to achieve. Bang, bang, bang.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back to when I was at that level, I was never trained on how to manage change. No one ever taught me how to deal with people that are going through change, especially when those people could be double your age and they might have been working in the place for a long time. Yet, so as it goes wrong, who's the finger pointed at? It's pointed straight away at those managers that are on the shop floor leading the activity because they haven't deployed the change properly.
Yeah.
I've been the one pointing the finger in the past so many times.
Yep.
But when you think about it logically, what development have they had? Like you said, they might have had one course when they very first became a manager, and I guarantee you it didn't cover how to deal with people going through change.
No, not at all. Even just our level of preparation for what we do, okay, when I'm looking at a construction job, you're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a day sometimes by the time you got cranes, equipment, people, everything that goes on that's got to go on to make the project happen. And you look at our level of preparation and we're pretty much just winging it. We turn up in the morning, run a quick meeting, you got a schedule, but no one's really looking at it properly. You know, the level of preparation is pathetic. And it really stuck out to me when I recently watched a Netflix series. I've never been a big fan of Gridiron, but you watch the Netflix series Quarterback. And particularly there's one guy there called, they just lost the Super Bowl, the Kansas City Chiefs, but Patrick Mahomes, man. His level of preparation to throw this thing every week, just to throw that, is far superior to anything that we do in business, construction, wherever it may be. Even the best lean practitioners, man, he's absolutely meticulous in his preparation. And that's why he can go out into the field and execute like he does, because of his preparation. He's building skills all the time. He's probably I think they call him one of the greatest quarterbacks. If not, I'm probably going to get howled down here. Everyone else to go with Joe Montana or somewhere else, whatever. Okay. I know cricket, not gridiron. He's absolutely known as one of the best at the moment. And he doesn't just go, I'm a great quarterback. And I saw you put a post on about this, about the expert thing. And when people put themselves in that box of expert, which is what we do in the management level, they go, that's it. I know what I need to know. And they stop. This is where I see the problem is, okay. So I've got no problem people talking to that. My expertise lies in this, or my skill set is here. I'm really good at this. Good. Keep getting better at it. It's when we go, I'm the expert, I'm the guru, I know all about this. Don't try and tell me. I've done this 100 times. I've built 50 jobs. We've done it this way, and this way. And then you've shut yourself off to improvement. That's where I see the problem in it lies.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening with those managers that you're talking about.
And I've seen it so many times. They think because they're the manager, I know everything. You're all subordinates of me. You don't know as much as me because I'm the manager. So if one of those people comes forward with a great suggestion, it's just dismissed out of hand, not interested because I'm the manager, I know more.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've been it. I've been that guy. I've been, go away. I actually had a manager once, right, when I was on the post, and he, no word of a lie, he would end of chat you. So he'd come over to you and he'd say, I need you to do this. And you go, yeah, but and you go, end of chat. Literally end of chat and then walk off. Mm-hmm. I'd be left livid, absolutely livid that I'd just been end of chat. He'd even do the hands as well, end of chat.
Yeah.
Suffice to say, he wasn't a manager for very long. I think he ended up back on the front line. But wow, disrespectful. Yeah. I've got the ump now.
But that's what drives that waste, man. That stuff, all these things, these stories that we're talking to, and like, we've come up with a number of different scenarios here, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what drives the eighth waste, right? Okay? And everyone that's listening to this is going, yeah, I've done that, or I've been that, or I've seen that. And they didn't, before we spoke to it, and this is a really important part of what you're doing with this podcast, before we spoke to it, people don't even trigger and go, oh, shit, that's what's happening there. So these conversations are incredibly important, and there's stuff that I'm picking up out of this, and I'm sure there's stuff you're picking up out of it as well, and you're going, that's going to take me to the next level. I can put that in place to step up to that next level.
It's a mindset, isn't it? I think when you're really into continuous improvement, you're constantly looking to feed off of knowledge. If you surround yourself with people who know other things to what you know, you feed off of it. You just want to know more and more and more and more. And sometimes you don't even know that it's coming in your brain and it sticks in your brain.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm off talking about something and I'll start saying something. I'm like, where did that come from? It's something someone said to me ages ago and it's just come out.
That's the importance of the learning.
I start speaking in an Australian accent.
Yeah.
It came from you.
Influenced you.
It's your fault. So I think we've covered off what was it? The first one is about how leaders overlook the waste of human potential. So I think we've covered that. And we've spoke about some great examples of where talent is underutilized. And I think the industries like in construction and in other industries where people can get paid minimum wage, particularly in like warehouses and stuff like that, I think that there is a bias because if they are on minimum wage and the manager's not. I do think there's your opinion doesn't matter, or it sounds horrible because I don't think everyone thinks like this, but it's almost like you're not worth investing my time in because you just do the water spider or you just fill the shelves in the store.
Yep.
I think there's an element of that. So breaking barriers then. So what common leadership behaviours or organisational structures prevent people from contributing to their full potential?
Basically everything that we set up these days. Org charts are a good place to start. I went for a guy years ago, Bo McPhee. He's gone now. Old boy, he used to treat us, well, that was actually the guy that I was working for. I wasn't working directly for him, but I was working on one of his projects when I stepped up to a superintendent, okay? He used to treat us supervisors, superintendents, like he was a kid. Bo would come onto the site and walk the site, there'd be 150 guys on there. He'd know every one of their names. He'd go around and see everyone, okay? But the way the structure of McPhee's business was that the person at the front line, they're doing the work, were the most important person. The rest of us there to support them, to give them what they need to be able to do their job. We look at it from a hierarchical position where I'm the CEO, I sit up the top, and I'm the GM, I'm below them, and you blokes are below me. No, flip the org chart. Cameron Harold speaks to this. Flip the org chart around, look at the people at the front line that are doing the work. Everyone underneath them is a layer of support to get them what they need to be able to do the job. So in answer to your question, that is, to me, is our biggest driver of the eighth waste, is this hierarchy and us sitting up the top going, pointing the fingers going, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And Paul Akers is an exceptional example of this. And I've heard him say it, like, your most important job as a CEO is to support everyone to improve every day. So he doesn't, if you've never seen any of his videos or watched or read his books, go and have a look. He actually has a desk on wheels that he wheels around his computer and everything set on it. He doesn't have an office. There's no CEO's office or whatever. He has this massive factory and he wheels the desk around in between his people wherever they're working, because he needs to get to the Gemba to see where the problems are to help the people that are doing the frontline work get what they need.
I do think as well, like a lot of organisations, they paste all over the walls their values, you know, the values of the company in massive font all over the walls.
Yep.
And, you know, so often you see it, especially in receptions. And then if you go out and you start talking to the people doing the work, it doesn't take long to say to them, you know, what does that value mean to you? And they haven't got a clue. They know the words because they see them on the wall every day.
Yep.
They've got no idea what it means to them as individuals and how their role plays a part in that value.
Yeah.
There's a massive disconnect.
Yeah, it's huge, man. Like you said, there's one thing to know and be able to repeat verbatim, which is going back to the school thing again. That's all we're doing, really. We're just learning. We shouldn't knock everything we do in school, okay? So there's upside to it as well. But majority of it around it, your report card and all the rest of it, it's how well you memorise, not how well you learn.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Canteen was all right as well. Cheeseburgers were amazing in my school.
Yeah, I was really good at, what's her name? Smoko, which is breaks, and sports on Friday afternoon. I had that bit now.
You was all over it.
It was just the bits that had to fill in between that I troubled.
The main bits you were there for, yeah? Those bits.
I was always there on a Friday, mate.
I was in the school football or the school soccer team, as you'd call it.
Yeah.
I played up as a striker the whole way through school. I'm probably the only striker you'll ever meet that never had a shot on goal. In all those years, I never got to shoot a goal. It wasn't my fault. It was the service. It was the people below me supporting me.
That's what it was. Wasn't getting the ball to you. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's what it was. But on your example, though, about those people, look at Cristiano Ronaldo, right? Cristiano Ronaldo's just turned 40 years old.
Yep.
He is absolutely ripped. He's still playing at a higher level than many people ever get to.
Yep.
And that's not by luck or by just rocking up every day and doing the bare minimum. His preparation and his investment in what he needs to achieve is monumental. It's unbelievable.
Yep. The fundamentals, man. We don't practice the fundamentals anywhere near enough. Like you're talking about Ronaldo. Another one was they used to speak to the great book by Bill Walsh, which is, he was one of the coaches for, I can't remember what the San Francisco 49ers. He turned them around, right? They were the worst performing franchise in NFL history. And in 18 months or 2 years, they won the Super Bowl. He basically did lean. That's what he did. It's not called lean in the book, but he set standards and he got everyone to improve. And everyone knew what their job was. So you read the book, you go, this is about lean. Lean's never mentioned once in the book, but that's exactly what it is. It's about lean. And he used to speak to Joe Montana, and I said, how come he was such a good quarterback? Because he said he would spend time doing repetitions, the fundamentals every day that a 10-year-old kid would think was boring and wouldn't do. So just the very basics, nailing the basics. You look back, another one great one that I love follow was Kobe Bryant. And Kobe speaks to all the time that he used to spend just dribbling, shooting shots, practicing rebounds, whatever it was. But they've all the great performers have nailed the fundamentals. And they don't, not just nailed, they continue to improve them and practice them every day.
Yet we put people into positions within organisations, give them a one-off, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, 5-day course on management, bang, you are now the pinnacle. You've done it. Well done.
Yeah, you're running millions of dollars worth.
It's crazy.
It's just ridiculous. Like and then as you say, then when it turns to shit, everyone's going and pointing the fingers, going, "Oh, you didn't do your job."
Yeah, it's exactly right.
You didn't set them up to succeed.
You failed. Let's flip it then. How can leaders create an environment where ideas, creativity and skills are fully leveraged then? What does good look like?
Okay.
He's gone.
Yeah, I have.
He's walked off.
I'm back.
He's back. What's that?
This book, Legacy, What the All Blacks Can Teach Us About the Business of Life, right? In this, they speak to the All Blacks were the greatest rugby union team, well, they still are, pretty much. If you take it over a time span, they're the pinnacle in rugby union. They talk about in there, and again, this is supposed to be a book about a football team. It's about lean. They talk about building a learning environment, creating an environment where people have the space to improve every day and they learn. They improve whatever they're doing every day. So good looks like the first thing you got to get nailed is your morning meeting. What does your morning meeting look like? If you haven't got a good stand-up, I call from Scrum, a daily stand-up. So it's 15 minutes. We're not talking standing around in circles for hours, people bringing up 1,000 problems. I've got a whiteboard. What are our top 3 objectives for the day? And it's not tick the box exercises. It's hard things that are going to move the needle. What do we need to do to be able to make progress towards the bigger goal that we've got? What are things that are stopping us moving quicker? So when we start removing the constraints, what's stopping people? We let people love to whinge. So let them have get it out, get it off their chest, whatever, speak to the hard things, get those things out, get some wins on the board. Would you go and watch a professional soccer match without a scoreboard up?
Yeah.
Who's going to go there? What's the biggest thing when you walk into the stadium and see a big scoreboard? We don't do this particularly well in construction or any other industry. People need to be able to see some sort of a scoreboard visually up in their face every day. Are we winning? Are we losing? Are we getting better or are we just stagnating? So good looks like, how are we creating the tension to be able to get everyone to want to get better? That's what good looks like to me. And it as I say, man, the best resource you'll find is that.
What I think you see as well, when you watch a rugby match or a football match or anything like that, any team sport, how often do you see them at the start of each half gather in like a little huddle together and just sort of give each other a pep talk or whatever before they kick off?
Yep.
They don't just park up in the car park, walk in, get changed and walk onto the pitch and crack on, do they?
Exactly.
They don't go and hang their coats up and then go out there and get on with it.
Yep.
They're actually, they are a team. They're a cohesive unit.
Yep.
To understand how each other's roles play a responsibility and are key to creating the end product.
Yep.
And then the leader is like you say, he's a coach, is there just from the sideline to point out things that you might not be able to see when you're in the thick of it.
Yep.
This could work, that will be better, well done on this, well done on that.
Yep.
But we don't. We walk into the workplace, we hang our coat up, we pop our lunchbox on the side and we crack on.
Exactly. Another really important point you just spoke to just then is they split into a meeting quickly at different intervals. Okay. This is, talk to the 8th waste. So the biggest waste there is, I believe, when you get to above the people at the support level that aren't doing the actual work, but they're doing the administration or the leadership or the management and all the rest of it, is meetings. I'm pretty sure you're a fan of Patrick Lencioni and you probably read Death by Meeting. How often?
I've been in it.
How often do we park a problem because we got to wait till the production meeting, or we got to wait for this meeting or that meeting, whatever, and those meetings are run terrible for a start, so nothing ever happens or nothing comes out of them. Use those short 15-minute. We did this really well on the last project I was on. We'd hit a roadblock or a problem or whatever. We do exactly what you said. It was like it's part of Scrum, but it was like a football, whatever kind of football or whatever sport that you watch. Come in quick, get the key players in. What's the problem? Get out, have a look at it. That's the problem. All right, how are we going to come up with a solution? We're split off from here, come back in 3 hours' time, report back where we are. What have we done? How are we going to move this needle forward? And we just kept removing those. We did it over and over and over. Some days you might do 2, 3, 4 of them in a day. But that keeps the flow going, keeps everyone on track, and everyone. We're not waiting for a week. We don't have when you're building a project and you've got a 6 or 8 month timeline, you don't have a week to waste. You don't have hours to waste. I mean, and you look at your own life. Well, my wife's reading a book at the moment, something called like 4,000 Weeks or whatever it is. I'm not sure what a lifespan. I'm pretty sure it's around that. Don't waste it waiting for a meeting or waiting for another week to fix a problem. Get to it. You remove those issues, you get to those, you'll be surprised how much more you get done and how much better your life is.
Yeah, you feel better for it as well.
Yeah.
Like the other day when I was up at 4:00 in the morning, I felt so good that I just done the things I would normally try and do.
Yep.
There's something mentally about ticking things off of a list. Bang, bang, bang. It makes you feel proactive. It inspires you to carry on.
Yep.
So often, I think with lean, people think it's about the massive, game-changing, whopping big improvements, where if you just go and talk to the people and find out what their bugbears are, the things that annoy them every single day, do it, just stupid little repetitive things that really annoy them, and you fix those things, those people will love you for life. Yeah, they'll walk over hot coals for you.
Mm-hmm. And we do. We love the story about the big thing that we did that was this magical fix or, this amazing thing that we did. And no one speaks to the little things that we remove, the little obstacles that we remove every day. And they don't just add up. People say they add up. They don't add up, they compound. It's like compound interest. It's the exact same thing. And you go back and you look at your Kobe's and all those guys we spoke to about before, and the aggregation of marginal gains, we're just 1% improvement a day over 72 days, I think it is, doubles your results.
Wow.
Because that 1% keeps growing. You improve that 1%, 1%. So that's where 2 second lean come into it, mate. Inadvertently, Paul discovered that marginal gains compound. Yeah. They don't just add up, they compound. And then people get in that mindset.
It's obvious when you're pointing it out. Like, you sit there now and think, how did people not think of that? Like,
Yep. Or it's repetition again. We go back to the reps. Like, you've got to keep going. You can't just hear that once. You go, oh, that's a good idea. And then a week later, you've forgotten about it. Or 12 months later, you've forgotten about it. And you're going, oh, it could have been so much better if we'd have just followed that. And we don't, because we're looking for the big improvement, not the little one. So it's those turning up every day, creating those little habits, these little rituals, whatever you want to call them, for this improvement. And that's where 2 second lean was so powerful, that what Paul discovered it was actually doing.
I think as well, it's worth mentioning that it's great to empower people. We want to empower people to find ways of improving what they're doing. But there needs to be some kind of mechanism there just to control it a little bit, because otherwise it can be carnage. Like, you can get things chopping and changing, and that what you do might impact somebody further down the production line or another department. Yep. You might negatively impact them and boost your own, what you're doing is you're flying, but someone else is now adding an hour to their job. So I think as a leader, you need to be mindful about what are the handrails and the guide rails that you put in place to make sure it doesn't sort of get out of control, because it can happen. I've seen it happen as well.
Yeah, definitely. So what you just described there, I don't know if you've studied it or not, is theory of constraint by Eli Goldratt. You got to have global optimization, right? We're talking flow. That means everyone thinks we've got to keep everyone busy all the time. That's not how you get the most done. What we get to do is know where we've got to get to, or what you just spoke to. You can be overproducing in an area that doesn't need it, and it creates a heap of waste. So you've got to see the system as an overall, which is what theory of constraints about, and say, what's the overall goal of the system? And then you make everything else to move, all the different parts, what he calls local optimization. So what Matt's doing, what Beanie's doing, we'll need to move at this speed to give us this end goal. And then exactly what you're speaking to before, if everyone just tries to race off and do their bit the quickest that they possibly can and prove it, you just create absolute chaos. So yes, very important point that you make there, mate.
I've seen boxes all over the floor, and I'm talking about stacked up as high as the individuals themselves. Mm-hmm. You couldn't see people for boxes where a certain part of the process upstream, they found a way of putting the packages on quicker onto the belt. And of course, the people taking them off the belt hadn't found a way to go quicker. So you can imagine what it was like. It was just absolute carnage. Right, so let's just imagine then, everyone listening now has suddenly had an epiphany and they're like, wow, I now understand how to recognise underutilised talent in my organisation. What practical steps can they now take then to unlock that?
Okay, so again, I always take it back to the most basic thing that we could do, and the most basic thing we can do is, that I say, is 2 second lean. Watch one, do one, teach one. So if you get people in that mindset, so they could find one thing, they could have seen one thing that you and I spoke to about today. They went, that's a great idea. So they've watched it. Now take that idea and go and actually do it out in the paddock or wherever your environment is. Go and do that thing. Do it and then teach it to someone else. Because what that does is reinforce what you've actually just learned. Because I think it's Einstein said, if you can't explain something to a 5-year-old, then you don't really understand what you're doing. So we need to reinforce that learning, because there's knowing how to do something and then there's having an understanding of it and a deep understanding of what it actually does or how you do it, how well you understand it. There's different levels of that. Okay, so by constantly reinforcing, if you just get your people into that loop, go and watch something this morning, go and learn something, take that, go and do it, go and do it, go and teach it. That would be the first step that I'd suggest to everyone, is to try and get that sort of loop in. The way that you tie it together is with your morning meeting. So if you're the supervisor, the way I do it is by running that morning meeting and encouraging everyone to go out and see one, do one, teach one. And come back, or the teach one could even be come back, all right, Matt, what did you do yesterday? Out of what, when we did pick a book up even. I've got more books on my desk on a construction site at work than most people have got in their house, right? And they're there for a reason, because the guys see me reading and then they go, it's all right for me to read as well. And they go away, and then all of a sudden they come back and tell me stories about different books and stuff that they're learning. So the habits that you want to instill in your people, you need to be visibly showing that you're doing yourself. So I'd say, Matt, come back and give us, you learned whatever it was out of legacy this morning. What did you learn about that yesterday? What did you do? And then you tell a story at the stand-up. So that's creating that learning environment. That's how I go about doing it.
Because you're building people's confidence, I expect, in that as well. Because they're coming back, they're telling the story. Everyone's going, oh, wow, that's really good. And the leader's saying, that's really good. And they're probably buzzing off the back of that.
Yep. You've taken a person that's turning up and giving you that much, and now they're giving you that much.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the key, isn't it?
Yep.
I think the time has come, Adam, for me to put you to the test with the yes-no game.
Here we go. Look out.
Yeah, you've been waiting for this. He's all keyed up. Look, drop down.
I've been practicing. Let's see how I go.
He's been doing push-ups all morning. Right, so the way this works is we are going to try and make Adam say yes or no. And the way it works is I've got 3 cards in front of me. Card number 1, card number 2, and card number 3, of which you can choose the topic. 1, 2, or 3.
Let's go with 2.
2. And people always go for 2. It's like in the middle. 2. Oh,
middle. Yeah.
2 is Australian stuff.
Okay, I should be. If I don't get this right, we're in serious trouble.
You should. Yeah, it'd be me that don't know.
No.
So the way this is going to go down is I'm going to chuck stuff at you really quickly. Yep. Over 60 seconds. There'll be some intense music playing in the background, but you cannot say yes or no. If you hear a gong sound, that means you did say yes or no, or a variance. Like sometimes people go, mm-hmm. That means yes, right? You can't do that. That's cheating. Right, you up for this?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Oh, he's ready, ladies. He's born ready. We're doing this like across the world. This is a big thing. Right. Here we go. We're ready and loaded. Adam cannot say yes or no when we talk about Australian stuff. Do kangaroos really box?
They can do.
They can. Males apparently box to establish dominance. Which animal is on the Australian coat of arms alongside the kangaroo?
That would be the emu.
You say emu?
Yeah.
Yes.
Straight out.
Oh. You know, that is my go-to is the, did you say? Because people always instinctively go, yeah, I did.
I did. Yeah. Damn. I've been practicing all week too.
There was an episode I recorded where I was talking about the book and I was the guest. So I played the yes-no game and I failed. So don't take it personally. Yeah. It happens to the best of us.
I went back and listened to the episode that you recommended, episode 4. I can't remember the guy's name. He did really well. He got like 50 seconds.
Yes. Oh, sometimes people get
the guy from Toyota.
Oh, Jim Franz.
Yeah.
He's so brilliant. He's such a clever guy. He's got such a great way of talking.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, I had some great questions lined up for you, by the way. I was going to move into Australian slang.
I would have been good at that.
Yeah, I had them all lined up. Never mind. I'll have to find another Australian guest and recycle them. Right, so Adam, where can people go to learn more about you and the stuff that you're doing?
Okay, so number one place to follow me on the socials is LinkedIn. I'll push that. That's my go-to platform at the moment. I'm across Insta, Facebook, even a little bit of TikTok at the moment. But predominantly on LinkedIn, mate. That's my go-to platform for social media.
I'll put a link down below, but check out Adam's stuff on LinkedIn because it is really good. Like, it's so different to the other stuff you see.
Yep.
Do you know what I was going to tell you, by the way? Australia. So I was looking at the listening statistics on the dashboard for the podcast.
Yep.
Australia's creeping up the leaderboard now. You know, it's the 7th most listened to country.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So we got top of the pops is the UK.
Yep.
Then we got United States, Canada, Sweden, Ireland, Switzerland, and then Australia.
Cool.
It's coming on, mate. It's getting up there.
There's a few guys in the space. Most are in manufacturing. Tend to work in that sort of space because it's a bit more of a controlled environment. Lean's, when I first started doing it, well, I've done it for years in construction, but when I first really started pushing it as this is lean, not pushing it, but promoting it as this is lean, this is scrum, all the rest of it, it's like, that doesn't work in construction. We reckon, you know. So, but it does, because this stuff's, it's not industry specific, it's people specific. And every industry got people.
You said before, you don't even need to use the term lean you don't have to use any of that stuff. No. It's just understanding people and showing empathy and being honest. It's you're spot on. But I think you are quite modest. I think the stuff that you're doing is definitely help drive awareness in Australia. And even, as I say, I watched your videos and I'm in the UK. But if you haven't looked, have a look because they are absolutely brilliant. Really, really informative.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate the feedback.
Thank you, mate.
No, thank you.
Thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute joy. So some key takeaways from today's brilliant discussion with Adam about unlocking talent and leadership. Arguably, underutilised talent is the biggest waste of them all. Organisations so often overlook the untapped skills, creativity and potential of their people. Failing to engage people fully is a significant form of waste, often more detrimental than process inefficiencies. Empowering people to take ownership. Now, leadership is about creating an environment where employees feel valued, heard, and empowered to contribute their ideas. Engaged people naturally reduce other forms of waste by taking ownership of continuous improvement itself. Leadership must invest in talent development. As leaders, we need to step back and give people the opportunity to shine. Investing in leadership training and development, particularly in areas like change management, really will help leaders support people effectively. Encourage creativity and automation. People really do perform their best when they have autonomy and the responsibility to make decisions for themselves. Micromanagement stifles innovation, so empowering people to find inefficiencies is the key to unlocking their potential. Mastering the fundamentals does lead to success. Success is built on the basics. The greatest performers, whether athletes or business leaders, emphasize consistent practice and refinement of core skills. This applies to leadership and continuous improvement as well. Anything you want to do in life, it all comes down to that consistency, that practice, and that refinement of those skills. Embracing a culture of continuous learning. A learning environment, like those seen in high-performing teams such as the All Blacks, is critical. Regular feedback, clear standards, and space for growth lead to sustainable improvement. Try and focus on small wins for big impact. Adam spoke really clearly about this. Improvement doesn't always need to come from big, massive changes. Small, consistent fixes to everyday challenges have a profound impact on productivity, engagement, and most importantly, morale. The power of marginal gains is just incredible. Small, incremental improvements, 1% better each day, compound over time, leading to massive sustainable gains. The key to consistency is making tiny improvements. That's creating a culture. Leadership really is about coaching, not just managing. True leadership involves coaching, guiding, and providing feedback in a way that encourages growth and innovation. The role of a leader is to support their team, not just direct them. Unlocking potential through practical learning. Learning is not about memorization, but but about applying knowledge in real-world situations. Leaders should focus on practical learning experiences that connect directly to people's roles and responsibilities. It's through learning by doing and creating a pool for that learning that we really do see massive growth and improvements in the work area. And lastly, everyone's role is vital. Everyone within the organisation, no matter how seemingly small, is critical to overall success. As leaders, we must recognise and utilise the unique strengths of each and every person to drive collective growth. If we don't recognise it, who will? Right, there we go. That's another one done. It flies by. It absolutely flies by. And that brings us to an end of this episode of the Ever-Celine podcast. Thanks so much to Adam for getting up early on his Saturday morning and joining us here. He had a cup of tea. I had a beer. That's how it works. If you enjoyed today's episode and want more, be sure to subscribe and follow the Ever-Celine podcast on your preferred platform or at everceline.com. Whilst there, you can catch up on any missed episodes and explore the range of services we now offer, including British Quality Foundation accredited yellow belt, green belt, and black belt, and master black belt. Continuous improvement lean practitioner training is absolutely brilliant, but I would say that because I made it. There you go. Thanks for joining us. Take care, and I'll see you on the next episode. And don't forget, Ever-Celine. You know it makes sense. The Ever-Celine podcast is researched, produced, and recorded by Matt Sims. Visit everceline.com to find out more.